self-compassion, and self-care. Hello and welcome to the Let Your Values Be Your Guide program. This is a 5-week program aimed to help people like you who are in cardiac and pulmonary rehab make meaningful and long-lasting lifestyle changes. We will accompany you on this journey where you will learn about your personal values or what's important to you and figure out ways to incorporate these in your day-to-day. You will also learn about practicing acceptance and compassion or kindness for yourself. With each topic, you will encounter something new, and we encourage you to approach the content and exercises with openness and curiosity. We will be there to help you in case you need any clarification or support. We appreciate you taking part in this program. One thing we know is that cardiac and pulmonary rehab is all about making changes. And sometimes those changes can be pretty difficult, especially when they don't necessarily fit with what's important to you right here and right now. Sometimes in life, we have other things that are going on that we would rather focus on or prioritize. So during this program, we're going to reflect on your goals and what's important to you and figure out ways to help you practice acceptance and compassion. During today's topic, we're going to be talking about self-compassion and self-care. During today's class, you're going to be learning ways to be self-compassionate. In other words, ways that you can treat yourself like you treat a good friend. We're also going to talk about different examples of self-care activities. And finally, we're going to explore different ways that you can practice self-compassion in your day-to-day. For many of you, you've already heard us talk about how cardiac and pulmonary rehab is all about making big life changes. Many of you are here to make changes to your lifestyle, such as eating healthier and exercising more. While these changes may come easy for some, for many people, these changes are not easy, especially if the changes that you're making are unpleasant or cause you discomfort. For example, in rehab, you may be exercising more than you're used to. Exercising can cause you to feel out of breath or your heart to beat faster, which can be scary and uncomfortable. It's also hard to make these big life changes if they don't fit with your personal values or what's important to you. Sometimes in life we have other things that we're prioritizing that we'd rather focus on. Values are your judgment of what is important and fulfilling in your life. Your personal values come from your own life experiences and memories. Your values guide what's going to feel most meaningful, enjoyable, and fulfilling in your life. It's no surprise that we are more happier and healthier when we're doing the things that we truly value or care about. There are many different things that we might value, and each and every one of us value different things. If you're having trouble thinking of values that you have, turn to the back of the workbook and circle some different examples of values that speak to you. After you do that, turn the page and circle some valued activities that are consistent with those values that you felt were consistent with your experiences. Valued activities can include many different things. Some examples could be socializing with friends, intimacy with a spouse or a partner, going to work, playing with children and grandchildren, being involved in community events, and exercising. Some ways that these valued activities can help to fulfill your values can be, for example, socializing with friends and intimacy with a spouse or a partner, both of those may help you spend more quality time with your friends and family. Now let's say you want to focus on going to work and being involved in community events. Both of those activities may help you maintain your independence, if that is a value of yours, and remain productive. Try to think of anything that you value that you feel like you have put on hold due to your chronic illness. Again, look at the back of the workbook and see if there are any values that you'd like to focus on throughout the remainder of this program. For a moment, ask yourself what comes to mind when you think of self-compassion. What does it mean to be kind to yourself? And what might that include? To have compassion towards someone is to notice when a person is suffering, to be moved by one's suffering, to feel the desire to help the person who is suffering, and to offer understanding and kindness rather than judging that person harshly. Self-compassion means directing that warmth, kindness, and understanding towards yourself. That can be easier said than done. Oftentimes, when we are feeling stuck or dealing with a big challenge in our lives, we are often our biggest critics, and we treat ourselves far more harshly than we would a good friend or a loved one. Self-compassion is not self-pity or self-indulgence. It means being warm and understanding towards ourselves and recognizing that we are human when we suffer, fail, or feel inadequate. These are all normal human experiences, and we are not alone in those feelings. This does not mean that you're okay with these feelings, but simply that you're taking steps to take care of yourself when you notice that you're experiencing these feelings. Take a moment to think about a time when your loved one has really felt bad about themselves or was really struggling in some way. Think about what you typically do with someone who is struggling or feeling bad about themselves. What do you say to that person? Note the tone in which you typically talk to your loved ones when they're struggling. How do you sound? Ask yourself, how do you typically respond to yourself when you feel bad about yourself or are struggling? Do you talk to yourself differently from how you would respond to a loved one? Oftentimes the answer is yes. We do speak to ourselves quite a bit differently than we would a loved one. And this is, again, because oftentimes we're more critical and harder on ourselves than we are with those that we care about. How do you think things might change if you were to try responding to yourself in the same way that you respond to a loved one? Think about if you were to extend yourself that warmth and understanding. How might you feel when dealing with a difficult situation? Now take a moment and ask yourself, what comes to mind when you think of self-care? What does it mean to care for yourself? Self-care, or actively taking steps to care for our needs, is an act of self-compassion. By being mindful of what we need to feel good is to practice compassion to yourself. Self-compassion, again, means having an attitude of kindness and consideration towards yourself. This is different from self-care, which are the actions that we take to care for our needs. Again, practicing self-compassion is one of the many ways that we can take better care of ourselves. Now let's think of an example of a way that you care for yourself. What are some ways that you comfort and care for yourself during difficult situations? Now, fill in the blank. I care for myself by. Take a moment to jot down some different examples of activities that you do to take care of yourself, especially when you're feeling down. Some examples are listed on page 33 in your workbook. Keep in mind, this is not an exhaustive list, so some of these may speak to you, but you may have ideas of your own. Just think, what are your favorite things to do that make you feel better when you're feeling down? How do you take a break when you need one? What activities make you feel calm or give you energy when you need it? What or who brings joy to your heart? Try prioritizing these activities when you're feeling bad about yourself or going through something difficult. Prioritizing self-care helps keep your bucket full so you have energy to do what you need to do. Taking care of yourself also helps you to be more present in your daily life. The key is to figure out what fills your bucket back up and then go do those things. There are many different ways that we can practice self-care, and each of us practice self-care a little differently from one another. Here are some questions to consider every now and then to make sure that you're prioritizing your own needs and being self-compassionate to yourself. Think about your physical health. Are you getting enough sleep? Is your diet fueling your body and giving you the energy and nutrients that it needs? Are you moving regularly? Answer those questions and see if there are any areas for improvement, and think of activities that could help you care for yourself in that way. Now, let's think about social needs. What are you doing to nurture your close relationships? How do you maintain contact with your favorite people? Think if there's anything that you can do to help you stay in touch with the people you care about the most. Now let's think about your mental health. Are you making time for things that are important to you? Do you have healthy ways to deal with your emotions, especially the hard ones? Consider all of these questions, and again, see if there is any room that you would like to improve on. Ask yourself, what are some activities, some ideas of things that you can try to help meet your needs in these areas? Consider what are some ways that you could be more kind with yourself, especially as you're trying to make big life changes in rehab. Write down some ideas in the blank provided to you on page 35 in your workbook. One way that you can practice self-compassion is by taking a self-compassion break. A self-compassion break is a short break that you can take to acknowledge your stress, acknowledge that this is a moment of suffering, and that what you're going through is hard, and to acknowledge that other people who are going through the same thing as you would feel the same way, and offer yourself some kind words. Remind yourself not to be hard on yourself, and instead offer yourself warmth and understanding. Here's an example of a way that you can practice a self-compassion break. Think of a situation in your life that is difficult or is causing you a lot of stress. Now say to yourself, this is a moment of suffering, or this is really hard. Next, tell yourself, suffering is a part of life, or I'm not the only one who struggles with this, or we're all just trying to do our best with what we have. Lastly, say to yourself, may I be kind to myself. May I forgive myself. May I be patient. Try picking 3 phrases that resonate with you and practice saying these 3 phrases when you need to hear them the most, especially during times when you're feeling bad about yourself or feeling stuck. This concludes our talk for today. In summary, self-compassion involves being warm and understanding towards yourself when you're suffering, you feel that you have failed, or you feel inadequate. When dealing with difficult experiences, try asking yourself, how can I comfort and care for myself in this moment? Ask yourself, how would I comfort and reassure a loved one who is dealing with the same thing? Try extending that same level of compassion and kindness towards yourself. Practicing self-care means that you're being mindful of your own needs, so you're better able to do the things that you care about. Remember, try thinking of what your needs are and different activities that can help you take care of yourself. Over the next week, remember to review your workbook, practice any exercises listed in the workbook, and answer any questions on your phone or on your paper forms. If you have any questions or any difficulties, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of our study team members, and we will do our best to assist you. Thank you so much again for taking part in this program.